Hey guys, Captain Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina, and it's time for your chance to win $1,500 in free trips. That's right, y'all. It's time for our Sunday night live stream show. We're going to be chatting fishing, talking about the weather, what's going on now, what's coming up, and giving you guys the inside scoop on all things inshore, nearshore, and offshore fishing, plus answering your questions, plus giving away free stuff. You want a chance to win $1,500 in free stuff? This is the show to do it, guys. Every Sunday night right here at 7:30 p.m. we do this live stream show where we talk about all the things going on now, coming up, and more. Plus, we answer your questions, we talk about the weather, and you get a chance to win lots of free stuff. We give away a 5-hour half day for 2, a 10-hour all day for 2, a 39-hour trip for 1, and a Hubbard's Marina swag pack. That's right, and all you have to do is watch the show live, comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page, and it always is appreciated if you like the stream, share the stream, and follow us on all our social media channels. So make sure you check us out on YouTube, on TikTok, on Trovo, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Snapchat. Don't forget to like, check in, tag us while you're out fishing with us or dolphin cruising with us. We appreciate it as well. So hopefully you guys are ready for a great show tonight. Remember, if you have a question you want answered live during the show, drop it into a text. In on the screen, you have a phone number on the screen, and we would love to get your questions. So text in any questions you have. Want to make sure we give a shout out to our friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Gator Jim's Tackle, make sure you stop by, tell them hello, and tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. It is a great shop, killer deals, amazing selection, really good people over there at Gator Jim's Tackle. Again, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Get on by and tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. Definitely a good time over there and a huge selection, so definitely check it out. Again, Gator Jim's Tackle. With that, we want to make sure we give a shout out to all our supporters out there. If you are in our supporters club, we appreciate you helping to fuel the show and making things possible. Also, don't forget, we have a weekly supporters after show right after our main show. We do that private supporters after show. So definitely check it out. It is a good time, and we'd love to have you join us for that supporters after show right after our main show. It is a lot of fun. Also, keep in mind as well, we've got lots of stuff to talk about tonight. We've got post-Hurricane Debbie, super light loads, killer fishing. We've been doing really, really, really well out there. So hopefully you get a chance to come out and join us. We're going to talk all about that and more tonight. Want to make sure we also give a shout out to those who have sent stars as well. Let's see here if we've had any star senders to shout out yet. I think we have. Let's see. I haven't seen any stars. Maybe I have the wrong thing listed, but I don't know. Want to always give a shout out to our star senders and, of course, those who are helping to share the stream as well. So big shout out to you guys and all our supporters out there on the water as well. With that, let's get right into the photos and show you guys some photos of what we've been catching. And then from there, we'll get into the weather. And then from there, we'll get into some announcements and then, of course, your questions. So if you have questions, again, make sure you text them in and we can help you out. All right, let's see here. Photos starting inshore. We don't have a lot of photos this week. Hurricane Debbie kind of messed up the weather for us, unfortunately, and definitely makes things a little bit chunky, a little bit difficult to get out there, and definitely a little bit hard to catch a bunch of fish during a hurricane. So we don't have a ton of photos to show you this week, unfortunately, but that'll just let us get to the weather and your questions even faster. So with that, let's start inshore. We've been seeing some nice snook action. Before the storm, they were pretty darn loaded up around the pass. Early morning was best. Out on the beaches was going really well for us. Post-storm, the water has been so murky, so dirty, really hard to see them. Not really seeing a ton of snook around, but they have been caught, as you can see here behind this young angler. Water's still murky brown, a lot of stirred up conditions, but snook are feeding well, so the guys are finding them. Definitely some opportunities to go catch some snook, and you can tell by the dark back of that snook. The water is murky and brown, but the fish are feeding. You just got to kind of work to find those areas that they're concentrated, areas of moving water. Fishing those tides are important. Some good trout action around the area. Definitely a lot of moving water helps get those trout a little bit more excited. Been seeing some nice hogfish near shore. Looking forward to more hogfish as the water continues, or the water eventually cools down this fall. But for now, in the summer, we are catching a few hogfish here and there. Doing really well on the 12-hour night snapper. This one was from the previous 12-hour night snapper, but the one that just came in Saturday morning did well again. Despite bumpier conditions, they did pretty well overall. Seeing plenty of big red snapper on our long-range trips. The 12-hour extreme, the 39-hour, they're crushing the red snapper. Today's 12-hour extreme came in, nice big old load of red snapper, and the 39-hour trip, same thing, limits of red snapper. Plus now we've got triggerfish open. We're seeing lots of scamp grouper. We're seeing big mangroves, nice yellowtails, vermilions, porgies, almacos. So much more going on as well. So lots of opportunities all the way around on the offshore side of things. Near shore, we're seeing some nice lanes, a handful of nice mangroves, plenty of heads and tails mixed in there, and some chances for the mahi-mahi. Offshore, we've been seeing more pelagic action with sailfish pretty prolifically. We've been seeing some nice blackfin tuna, seeing the occasional mahi-mahi, and even, like I said, cobia as well. So lots of options and opportunities out there on the water right now. Inshore side of things definitely been tougher post Hurricane Debbie, just because of that stirred up condition, murkier waters. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes for that water to kind of calm down, the wind to calm down, and that water to clear up. Because remember, these hurricanes are low pressure systems, so just like cold fronts, up until the hurricane or cold front comes through, up until that low pressure comes through, generally the bite's really good, especially right ahead of those low pressure systems. But then behind a low pressure system, you have to wait for the water to calm down, wind to calm down, and water to clear up. And once things normalize, the fish generally feed really well because they haven't been able to feed the last couple of days. So we typically see a really strong bite once that water calms down, wind calms down, and water clears up. The question is, when does that happen? And that's the tricky part behind a storm. Timing that becomes a little bit challenging. But it's a lot of fun to go out there and roll the dice, and that's what we've been doing with the 39-hour trip. Right ahead of the storm, we had a 39-hour trip. Unfortunately, the bite died off really early. They didn't have a great trip. I would have expected that 39-hour trip that came in Sunday morning. Like, Sunday morning was when Debbie was on our front door. And this past Sunday, when that 39-hour came back, I was expecting huge piles of fish, and they really didn't do too well at all. It was a really tough trip, and that was surprising. We were expecting a really good catch, but that bite just shut down a little earlier than expected. Weather started a little earlier than expected. It made things tricky. But then behind Hurricane Debbie, Tuesday, we went out. Wind had calmed down a little bit, seas had calmed down a little bit. It was still pretty rough, but we were expecting the fishing to be pretty good because the seas and wind had calmed down, and when you get further from shore, the water clears up a lot faster on the bottom. So we were expecting to do pretty well Tuesday. It was a good trip. It was an okay trip. It was okay, maybe good. Definitely wasn't a home run. But today's 39-hour trip that left Friday, that came back this morning, wow. I mean, just home run, epic bite, really, really, really good opportunities throughout the entire trip on that 39-hour trip that came back today. Really good action because the bite was great all night long, then really good throughout the morning, and then really good throughout the day as well. So just an epic opportunity to catch plenty of fish on this weekend 39-hour. Plus, we had another 39-hour that just left today at 3 o'clock, and another super light load on it. Only 19 anglers over the weekend. We had 17 anglers today, and then Tuesday coming up, we only have 16 anglers. So crazy light loads, tons of room around the vessels, around the boat, and just absolutely awesome fishing opportunities right now. So really good opportunities to get out and catch some fish for sure. So we talked to you a little bit about the fishing, what's going on now. Let's go into the weather and show you guys what's going on with the weather. We always like to hop on over to the Hubbard's Marina website page on hubbardsmarina.com. You can click fishing trips. Second one down is the weather links page. On the weather links page, I always like to start in the 5 and 10 hour forecast area, and you can see right there real easily a lot of dark blue. That means low wind conditions, not a lot of wind in the forecast. Really nice forecast, not a lot of sea conditions in the forecast. It is 2 foot or less, really 1.5 foot or less this entire period. So looking really nice on the forecast for wind and waves. And that means fishing should continue to be really good for us. That was the inshore report. We'll pop back to the weather links page and check the offshore forecast. And much like the inshore forecast, a lot of dark blues. Looking really good. Even Friday, wind picks up a little bit, but still less than 2 foot seas. So really great conditions. Even offshore, 2 foot or less all the way through the next 10 days. So awesome weather, stellar fishing all the way around. And the good news is you click over to the weather links page and hit spaghettimodels.com, going over to Mike's Weather Pages website. This is the website we use to check the long range forecasts, to check our daily prog charts, and of course our tropical systems as well. And the beautiful thing that we have to look forward to right now is the fact that we don't have anything in the forecast. We have a wave coming, but it is pretty strongly everything suggesting it's going to hook north. It's going to be a problem for Bermuda. Looks like it's going to go right over Bermuda, which not fun for them, but we don't have any tropical waves really in the forecast at all till maybe the end of the month. Something brews, but it's pretty weak and it's really early, so not even worth really talking about yet. But what you can talk about, what we can focus on here, the positive news is that basically the next 15 days or so, it looks like we're going to be clear. Nothing to even think about here inside the Gulf of Mexico tropical system wise. So beautiful weather outlook, no wind really, no waves really, no tropical systems in the forecast. Things are looking up for the Gulf of Mexico. One thing that we do have is it is hot conditions. So you want to make sure you're staying hydrated. Get hydrated before you come. Stay hydrated on the water. If you're going to go fishing on a Friday, start drinking water Wednesday. And make sure you're drinking a gallon of water Wednesday, maybe even a gallon and a half, 2 gallons of water Thursday, and then Friday, once you come out fishing, drink 2 or 3 gallons. It is crazy hot out there on the water. So you want to make sure you're staying safe. You want to make sure you enjoy your trip. So staying hydrated is a huge part of that, making sure you're healthy. Eat, sleep, drink water, not alcohol prior to your trip. Make sure you're prepared for sure. It's important. With that, let's go ahead and do our first giveaway of the night. We talked a little bit about what we're catching now. We talked a little bit about what we're seeing now. We talked a little bit about the weather. Let's do our first giveaway of the night. Then we're going to get into your questions. We're going to need a lot of questions tonight, guys, because we have over almost 45 minutes to do nothing but questions. So drop some questions. You got a phone number on the screen. Text us if you want your question answered live during the show. We're going to start doing giveaways now. They're going to be randomly sprinkled throughout the show. Remember, in order to enter a giveaway, you do have to watch the entire show live. Then that's in order to be eligible. You have to watch the entire show live. And then you have to comment on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. That enters you for a chance to win. Then watch the show live. We randomly announce names on the screen. I will repeat the name. Then you text us to claim your trip. What happens a lot during these live shows, or I should say after these live shows, is spammers will come in and try to imitate us and try to get you to click on links. That's not how we do giveaways. The only way we give away stuff is live during the show. Your name pops up on the screen. I say your name. You text us. That's how this works, all right? So let's do our first giveaway of the night. We'll do our 5-hour half day for 2 guests. 5-hour half day for 2 guests. Winner is Grady Evans from Palm Bay, Florida. Congratulations, Grady. You are the lucky winner of the 5-hour half day for 2 guests. Make sure you shoot us a text, Grady, within 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. That shows you were watching live, and you text us your full home address. So you got 5 minutes or less, Grady Evans, to text us your full home address. That proves you're watching live, and that allows us to mail you the certificate you can use to come out and go fishing free. All right, we gave away our first free trip. Let's get into your questions. Again, phone number is on the screen if you want to text in your question from TikTok, from Instagram, from Facebook, YouTube, Trovo, Twitch, wherever you're watching. Text in your question so we can answer it. I was wondering if you give a discount for people who want to go but not fish. Yes, we do have a rider's discount on our 5 and 10 hour trips, but that is only on our 5 and 10 hour trips. Our longer range trips, we don't have the rider discount because of the fact that generally they are specialty trips meant for specialty anglers. No stars button tonight. That explains a lot. Don't know what happened there. Facebook must have just decided not to do that tonight. Strange. Whatever. All good. We'll skip over that and we'll go on to something else. Let's see what our next question is. I see you have relaxed the rules about carrying cell phones. Yes, we still take photos. If you want to avoid bringing your phone, you are more than welcome to ask for the crew to take photos. We're always happy to take photos and send them to you. Some people don't like bringing their phones because you don't get service offshore anyway, so totally understandable, and we're totally available to take photos. We still have the GoPros going out, and then actually recently we expanded our contract with our film crew. So instead of filming 2 days a month, they're going to be filming 5 days a month. So you'll see the film crew going out more often on more trips. We have the film crew coming out this Friday on our 12-hour night snapper to make one of those cool videos. So hopefully we'll get lots of mangrove snapper and have a stellar trip for them to film plenty of fish. And it'll be a good time for sure. Let's see. When grouper season comes in September, will you target them as hard as red snapper? Yeah, man. When season's open, that's what we target. So when gags open September 1st through end of day September 15th, that's our gag season this year is September 1st through end of day September 15th. Gag grouper will open. And yeah, we're going to be targeting them real hard, trying to catch them as much as we can. But really your best chance for gags when season does open in early September is going to be going deep, because on, like, say a 10-hour trip, catching a gag grouper in early September, the water's so hot it's definitely going to be deeper to get an opportunity to catch them. So 12-hour extreme, 39-hour, 44-hour trip is going to be your best bet for those gag grouper, and those spots are filling up fast, so make sure you get on there super, super early, like book now. But yes, definitely going to be targeting gags during gag grouper season. What time of year is usually the best time to book an offshore fish? This is a common question. What time of year is the best time to book a trip to keep the most fish? We were actually talking about this on the radio show. I don't know if it was this past Saturday or a recent show. They all kind of run together, but some people like to see the seasons all combined, so we have a bunch of fish open at one time where you can catch a bunch of fish at the same time and take them home. And then others like to spread the season out, and that allows something to be open throughout the year, but they don't really overlap much. But it gives you more opportunities to fish, and you can fish in the spring and catch this. You can fish in the summer and catch that. You can fish in the fall and catch that. How it's going right now is generally on that second trend that I talked about. Instead of grouping everything together and having a super short season where everything is open, you kind of spread things out and you have more opportunities throughout the year. And that's kind of what fisheries managers have leaned towards For example, we have red grouper this year was open January 1st through the end of June. We have triggerfish open all year except for January, February, June, and July. We have amberjack open September and October. We have gags open the first 2 weeks of September, essentially. We have red snapper open June, July, and into August, end of day, August 27th. Those are the 5 fish that have seasons: red grouper, gag grouper, amberjack, triggerfish, and red snapper. Only 5 species, though. There is tons of other fish: scamp grouper, mangrove snapper, yellowtail snapper, vermilion snapper, porgies, almacos, hogfish. There's so many other species that don't have seasons. So it doesn't matter when you go, you can catch all of these other fish. But those 5 species, they get spread out a little bit. So it depends on what you want to catch. When people ask me that question, what's the best time of year to go? I want to catch the most fish. Well, what do you want to catch? If you want to catch a red snapper, now is the best time to go because this is the only time they're open. So it kind of depends on, it's dictated by what you want most, because there's not a time of year that magically overlaps everything. If they did that, our fishing seasons would be really short, because what happens when you compress the opportunity to fish? If everything was open at the same time, the demand would be super high. Everybody and their brother would want to go out fishing then, right? Because everybody would want to try to catch all the fish they can to bring home. So all of a sudden, you're going to exponentially increase catch rates. You're going to exponentially increase effort. You're going to exponentially increase the uncertainty, and you're going to shorten seasons exponentially. So if they spread things out, you spread out effort, you spread out demand, you decrease uncertainty, makes it easier to manage, and it allows for more access for more periods of time. So greater spatial coverage or temporal coverage, allowing for more anglers to get on the water. That's the goal, and that's the reason they don't stack up. Do you think albacore is going to be open for the 39-hour the week of the 23rd? There's so many questions there. The week of the 23rd of what month? And also, albacore is a type of tuna, and I don't think we catch them, really. The main types of tuna that we catch, we see a bonita, which is kind of a subspecies of tuna. Most people don't consider it a tuna, but we see a lot of bonita, and they make really good baits, and we see them all year. Then the other type of tuna we run into is blackfin tuna, and blackfin tuna are pretty common throughout the entire year. We see a lot more of them when it's a little cooler, but I mean, nowadays I would say blackfin tuna are pretty common in the summer too. So really, we see blackfin tuna and bonita all year round. Albacore, we don't really see in the Gulf too much. What has been the best, or what has been the hot bait for scamp grouper? On this past trip, it literally does not matter. It did not matter what in the world you put down. You were catching the scamp grouper. The 39-hour trip that just came back today, they had 40 keeper scamp grouper for only 19 people. One guy caught 6 or 7 keeper scamp. You're only allowed 8 grouper. 4 per day, 8 total on a 2-day trip. So he almost caught a 2-day limit of scamp grouper. We had so many scamp, I was given a scamp, which is pretty rare. One of my favorite eating fish, so I'm looking forward to that for lunch tomorrow. But definitely a stellar bite of fish for sure. Someone said red snapper still open, ? Yes, red snapper open for us until end of day on August 27th. So lots of opportunity for red snapper for sure. Let's see. I'm a little nervous about bringing my daughter out. She's a petite 9-year-old and would struggle handling a big conventional reel for larger fish. For a 5-hour trip, it's perfect for a 9-year-old girl. My 5-year-old son does really well out there. My daughter is 3, and she's about to be tall enough to where she could handle it pretty well. On a 5-hour trip, we're targeting mostly gray snapper or white grunts, and they're smaller, and they don't really fight too hard, and the conventional reels we give out are not super heavy. You could always bring a spinning rod and reel out too, and you don't have to really be that tall. I would say like 46 to 50 inches or so, you're tall enough to do it pretty effectively, and you don't have to be that strong to fight a gray snapper or a white grunt. And lady anglers generally do a lot better than guys, simply because a lot of times they are going to listen better. They're going to sit still better. I know my son versus my daughter's a much better fisherman because she's more patient. She'll sit still longer. She has a lot more ability to stay focused, whereas my son is just like something shiny and he's gone. A lot more difficult for him to stay focused and stay patient. So it's comical in that effect. But definitely, I see young anglers doing really well on the 5-hour trip. 9 years old, plenty old enough to go. We see some anglers like Captain Seabass. He has 2 daughters, and I believe they're like 3 and 5, or maybe 4 and 6. And they go out fishing all the time on the 5-hour trips and do really, really well. They might even be younger, maybe 2. I don't know. I don't know the ages, but they're young, they're small, they're petite little girls, and they do extremely well. So I wouldn't be worried about a 9-year-old for sure. It'll be good. Let's see. When do you share all the new tattoos people are getting? We can share them now. Josh can pull up that folder. I believe we're up to 19 individuals, 19 total individuals. We've gotten some cool tattoos recently too, so we'll share those up. So this is a tattoo we've seen for a while. I think I switch like this, right? How do I switch? Is it the small buttons up on the top there by the percent?
No, that's
Oh. I thought there was a slideshow option. We had it figured out for a second. Josh will figure it out in just a minute, guys. But we've got a lot of tattoos. We've got, I think, 19 total, and got some more in the works. Let's see if we can get them going. I think you just clicked on one, didn't we? No. Well, we'll get it figured out in a second here. Let's pull up another question while you mess with that. Do you have to be on YouTube to be part of the giveaways? I'm a TikTok viewer, but I never see my name on there. In order to be a part of the giveaways, like we talked about in the beginning of the show, we talked about it again in the beginning of the giveaways. In order to enter to win, you do have to comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. That's how your name gets entered into that random name picker. You can watch on TikTok, you can watch on YouTube, you can watch on Trovo, Twitch, on Instagram, or another Facebook page, wherever you're feeling most comfortable, but you do have to comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page. Unfortunately, that random comment picker can't go through all these different platforms and all these different pages we're streaming to. Makes it a little bit challenging, but definitely would love to try to give away trips to everybody on every platform, but it makes it a little bit challenging. All right, so let's see what other questions we have here. Is shark fishing good there? We do catch quite a few sharks, and shark fishing is definitely going really well for us around the area. We've been seeing quite a few sharks as of late, especially around the bay and stuff like that. We got it figured out, Josh? Awesome. So shark fishing is incredibly good. Most of the people that do it well, do it from a boat around certain areas. Like we have a shark fishing trip. A lot of experienced shark fishermen do it even from the beach if you got a way to get your bait out there, like a drone, a kayak, or some other methodology. Some people even catch pretty nice sharks from like the bridge. So lots of opportunities to catch plenty of sharks around the area. But the shark trip is a good way to do it for sure. All right, so this is Brian Eakins. He's had the tattoo for a minute. This is our friend Colin. This is one of the newer tattoos. And I have to say, either he trains his calves a lot or his genetics are legit, because solid calf. Subtle flex there, Colin. This is Cody's tattoo. Really like the shading on that one. Oh, we skipped one. Edward's tattoo. Another good shading option. Glenn. Why does it keep skipping on me? This one was really cool. I think this is Shanna McCardle's. I like Jason's a lot. We have another Jason. Got this one, our friend Jeremy. And then this one was Jerry Farmer Sr. and Jerry Farmer Jr., I believe. This was Kendall Andis, and this was Kendall Andis Sr., I believe. I think that's Junior and Senior. That one's probably one of my favorites so far. I'm skipping a lot. These two most recent ones are pretty cool. I really like that one. Went with the Mahi Mahi shirt. Some cool ones for sure. Here's Noah. Here's Rick. We've got Robert. Oh, that's Shanna McCardle. So I think that is the same one then. Steve Mooney as well. Wes. Some really good tattoos. But so far, those are the Hubbard's Marina tattoos. Remember, you get two free 39-hour trips for the Hubbard's Marina tattoo. You can do any of our t-shirt designs, but it has to be a really dominant Hubbard's Marina, and it has to be a dominant tattoo on the lower arm or lower leg. You can draw up a draft and send it to me if you'd like, but got to be dominant sized, lower arm, lower leg, got to dominantly say Hubbard's Marina, and you get two free 39-hour trips for lower arm, lower leg dominant tattoo. Someone asked in the comments, yes, there is an opportunity to get 4 free 39-hour trips if you do a face tattoo.
I'm just waiting for somebody to get them Hubbard's mayo jar.
The Hubbard's mayo jar would be pretty legit. I was at a party today and someone was wearing that the Hubbard's mayo t-shirt, so it's pretty awesome. Why is Noah so that's a funny question. Why is Noah so far behind in the red snapper assessment in the South Atlantic? That is a probably 8-hour answer. Would be the shorter side to be able to go into any sort of detail on the South Atlantic and the intricacies that are the South Atlantic. I could say one of the biggest things is that the South Atlantic is trailing behind the Gulf probably at least 3 decades. The Gulf has done things like moratoriums, like limited entries, like defining the universe, like sector separation being a big controversial issue, IFQs being another big controversial issues. The Gulf has done things that not everybody likes, not everybody agrees to, but things that have definitely helped along. Carrie Carty, that is a funny answer. I think the Gulf is just really, really light years ahead of where the South Atlantic is. The South Atlantic is unfortunately dragging behind because they grapple with a lot of these issues that the Gulf has already grappled with and won. For example, charter permit moratoriums. There is a data collection system that stood up, Seafire, to help try to define the universe of anglers. Remember, in order to know how many fish are caught, you have to know how many people are fishing, how many trips those people are taking, what's their catch per unit of effort, and then what are their landings and what are their discards. Recreational fishing, we don't know any of that with certainty, any degree of certainty, really, especially private rec fishing. All 5 of those things are essentially guessed at. The number of people fishing, how many trips those people make, what's their catch per unit of effort, what are they landing and what are they releasing. All of that is essentially surveyed, estimated, and guessed for private recs. For commercial anglers in the Gulf, absolutely not one single part of that is guessed at. It is all double verified, GPS tracked call outs, call ins. I mean, the commercial sector provides so much data that the recreational sector benefits from. Without our commercial fishery in the Gulf, we would not be able to recreationally fish like we fish. So when people blame commercial fishermen, I kind of find it funny. I'm not a commercial fisherman. I'm not involved in the commercial fishery at all. Our business is a recreational fishing business. But without the commercial anglers, I realized that we would not be able to do what we do, because they provide the science and they provide a lot of what laid the groundwork to allow recreational fisheries the latitudes we do, because of their well-defined catch per unit of effort, their well-defined landings, discards, their well-defined historical indices that really help a lot. Whereas, unfortunately, on the recreational side of things, the best data sources we have in the Gulf are charter boats and party boats, because we have a moratorium. We know exactly how many charter boats and party boats are fishing in the Gulf of Mexico. Our federal permits have been under moratorium almost as long as I've been alive, which means if you wanted to run a charter or a party boat in the Gulf of Mexico for hire for any consideration, you have to have a federal permit. That federal permit costs about $30,000 to $40,000 to take 6 people in the Gulf. To take 60 people in the Gulf, it might be $100,000. So these permits don't exist anymore. They're under a moratorium, which means there can never be a new one. There's only less and less of these old historic ones. And that allows federal fisheries scientists and managers to know exactly how many people are fishing. The universe is well defined. In the South Atlantic, there's no such thing like that. I own South Atlantic fishery permits. You could own one for $25 in 5 minutes of your time. It's silly. It's useless, and that data is not helpful whatsoever. The South Atlantic commercial fishery is almost non-existent. So they don't have the science from their commercial fleet. They don't have the science from their charter and party boat fleet because there's no moratorium. So they have very limited science. And so when you have limited science, your stock assessments are lacking. Someone said earlier, Andy Strelchek is a problem. Well, Andy Strelchek is the regional administrator who's in charge of the Southeast region, South Atlantic, the Gulf Council, and the Caribbean. Andy Strelchek sat right here next to me and did a show not too long ago. Dude's a pretty legit guy, pretty smart. There's definitely some downfalls. He definitely has not so much, I don't think, downfalls with him personally. I think he's a pretty stand-up guy, but unfortunately he has a really tough job, and unfortunately there's a lot of problems in his agency, right? Some outside of his control, some inside his own agency. And the problem is he has a really tough job that spans a lot of different things in a lot of different categories. But also, keep in mind, Andy just got that job like maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago at most. Before him was Dr. Crabtree. And there used to be literally a bumper sticker of people, like, you know, that little kid who, like, what was that bumper sticker where the little kid peed on things? Wasn't that like Calvin and Hobbes? Yeah. It was Calvin and Hobbes, right? There used to be a Dr. Crabtree version of that. It was pretty legit. You have to be doing some things in life to have a bumper sticker where you're getting peed on, right? That was a big thing around the Gulf of Mexico. So, long story short, very, very long story, very, very short, abbreviated. The South Atlantic grapples with a lot of these issues because they can't make effective, hard decisions over these contentious issues. The Gulf of Mexico, we have our issues, but we definitely have been more effective. And I think the reason for that is because of our strong stakeholder engagement. In the Gulf of Mexico, there is a strong syndicate of recreational, charter, and commercial representation, and we get stuff done. We don't always see eye to eye, and it takes a very long time, but things get done. It's pretty impressive. So I think the Gulf is different for that reason, because I would like to believe folks like myself and the people that I work with are effective. The South Atlantic is getting there, though. There's some good people involved, and I think there's hope on the horizon. There's some really cool things that the FWC is doing right now that will help South Atlantic science. with these what's called EFPs, or exempted fishing permits. So we'll see. What kind of leader setup would you recommend for trolling with a swim bait? Trolling with a swim bait. I wouldn't troll a swim bait. Most of the time we're trolling the hard baits, the lipped diving plugs, and most of the time you just put mono right to that. So I wouldn't really do a swim bait as much as like a lip diving plug. The Nomad DTX Minnow, the Rapala X-Wrap, I might be confused with what you're calling a swim bait, but if you're calling a Nomad DTX Minnow or a Rapala X-Wrap a swim bait, I would just go straight mono, 80-pound mono to the lure, and you'll be good. This is a good question. Someone said, if Amendment 3 passes in November, how will that affect Hubbards? So Amendment 3 in Florida is the recreational use of marijuana, and if that passes, that changes nothing for us, because remember, Amendment 3 would make recreational marijuana illegal, voting yes on Amendment 3 would make recreational marijuana use legal in the state of Florida. However, we are a federally permitted vessel fishing federal waters, and it's still a Schedule 1 narcotic according to the feds. So until there's federal changes, nothing would change at Hubbard's Marina. It would create more challenges for us trying to tell people, hey, you can't do that. We would have to just try to work through it the best we can. But ultimately, to me, so many people have medical cards. So many people are using marijuana already. To me, it's like alcohol, right? The guy at the bar who's slamming beers, spilling beer everywhere, and being a sloppy drunk is just as annoying as the guy who's lighting up a joint and smoking in front of your kids, right? To me, I think whatever you choose to do is fine with me, as long as you're not bothering people around you. But unfortunately, in today's world, we do have to follow regulations and rules. So according to regulations, it would still be illegal for us to allow it on our vessels. That's where we're at. All right. But speaking of amendments, should definitely vote yes on Amendment 2. Amendment 3, well, that's a different show. But Amendment 2, the right to hunt and fish, is definitely going to be one you should vote yes for. We want to make sure we get the right to hunt and fish added to the Florida Constitution. We'd be the 24th state to do it, and we definitely want to make sure it gets passed. So vote yes on 2 for sure. But yeah, Angie Darling April Day essentially hit the nail on the head there in the Facebook chats. Stuff that is not noticeable. It would be a good idea. All right. It is time to do another giveaway, Josh is telling me. So let's do our 10-hour all-day trip for 2 guests. 10-hour all-day trip for 2 guests. Lucky winner is Bob Demmel from Fairfax, Virginia, I believe that says. Congratulations, Bob Demmel. You just won a 10-hour all-day trip for 2 guests. You've got a 5-minute period to text us your full home address in order to claim that free trip. What is the website that gives you free stuff for sending fish back to bottom? That is returnemright.org. Return 'em right. Can you tag them, Josh? Return 'em right. They're really good about responding on Facebook. We did that during the radio show Sunday. Return EM rights. So returnemright.org, I believe. Is it returnemright.org or .com? It is .org? Yeah, and Return 'em Right is also on Facebook, Instagram. You can look up their social media. But basically, you go to returnemright.org. You take like a 10, 15-minute little class. Yours truly is in there. It's pretty awesome. It's the best part, but just kidding. You take about a 10, 15-minute class, which is pretty informative, pretty helpful. It goes over how to use a descending device, the difference between the descending device and venting, how to recognize barotrauma. Pretty cool class. Again, it's only about 10 or 15 minutes long. After that is done, you enter in your mailing address, and they mail you over $100 in free stuff. So totally free. Really easy to do and super fun. So check it out. It's worth doing. Even if you're not really interested in the free stuff. And you can always bring the free stuff to us because we'll use it as well. A lot of people have done that. They've taken the class, gotten the free stuff, brought it to us, and we will use it or we will gift it to someone who will use it. It is BP oil spill money. It's not taxpayer dollars that you're wasting. It's BP's money from the oil spill. So use it up. Get some free stuff. Might as well. Let's see. Are teenagers welcome? Yes, teenagers are welcome. Some of those questions, Josh, might be not for the show, so maybe some of those random ones we'll leave open. Yeah, I got you. I didn't know if you were closing them or not. We do allow teenagers. It is sometimes I would say no, but most teenagers are great. I don't know how mine will turn out, though. I've got a little while. Mine are 3 and 5, and my 5-year-old sometimes is a challenge. I don't know if he would be allowed. I've done some offshore fishing all day on a private vessel. Do you still recommend you start out on the shorter trips first? If you're an experienced angler, you fished other places, you could jump to a longer range trip earlier, but the thing is, when you go to those longer range trips, the price is higher, so then also sometimes the expectations could be higher, and also the learning curves are pretty high. So you're setting yourself up for a little bit of a tougher first experience. I always suggest starting a little slower just so you can make sure you like how things are going. You like the layout, you like the people, you like the setup, then you can kind of step it up slowly from there. And then if you go out in a 10-hour and you're really maybe wanting to do a 12-hour extreme or 39-hour trip, maybe you go out in a 10-hour first, a little cheaper, a little easier to get into. You could try to check us out, see how you like us, and then also you can talk to people on the boat, talk to the crew, talk to the captain, talk to your fellow anglers, and learn more about that other trip, get more information, and help you to lower that learning curve. That's what I suggest. If you do a lot of 10 or 12-hour private fishing charters, maybe try a 12-hour extreme, which is going to be very, very similar to a 12-hour extreme, or excuse me, a 12-hour private charter, because the 12-hour extreme is basically a split charter style trip. So great way to get in there and kind of check things out for sure. Let's see what our next question was. I logged in a little late. Are you guys going out Tuesday? It's looking super empty. It is super empty on Tuesday right now. I think Tuesday's 10-hour has like 10 people on it, but we should go. It is super nice weather. The fishing is super great. So I'm hoping we'll get more people interested and booked. Trips do have minimums, but we're pretty close to it, and I'm pretty confident we'll get enough to go for sure. Are the Captain Thorn shirts available at Hubbard's yet? Don't know what that's about. Thorn shirts. Do you know what that's about, Josh? No idea. All right. Let's see, what other question? I saw a report online about sewage that was released, spilled in the waterways, 13.5 million gallons in the Sarasota area. I was wondering how this is affecting fishing along the West Coast. It was more like 8.5 million gallons of sewage out of the Sarasota County area. And also, it was more like probably closer to like 10 million. Can you go to TampaBayWaterkeepers.com? We'll pull it up for you guys. So TampaBayWaterkeepers.com. I think it's Tampa Bay Waterkeepers. You could just Google it. Josh is going to pull it up for us. There it is. So TampaBayWaterkeeper.org. I'm getting those messed up tonight. So Tampa Bay Waterkeeper, TampaBayWaterkeeper.org is the website. Right on the top of the website, go over to latest news and resources. You hit resources. These people are pretty awesome. We are heavily involved with Tampa Bay Waterkeepers. We actually sponsor them pretty heavily and have our own water testing site. So if you go to TampaBayWaterkeepers.org and you hit latest news and resources, you hit resources. Right here, there is a state resources. Try to remember where this is at. Water monitoring. Oh, yeah. So underneath water monitoring box, there, the second one down is pollution notices. Go to pollution notices, and then on this page, this took me a while to find, but now I know where it is, and I can show you guys. On this page, there is a don't subscribe to receive notifications, by the way, because the amount of pollution the state of Florida does is asinine. You'll get hundreds of emails every month about all the pollution going on. So if you go over here, once you're here, go to quick links and go to view submitted notices. And then once you hit view submitted notices, you got to verify you're not a robot, which is always helpful. And then they give you the option for a GIS map on the very top. So this is going to show you the last 30 days. Down a little bit of a rabbit trail, but it's worth it because this is now going to pull up a map. This is the last 30 days of pollution notices. So the last 30 days, these are all the little pollution events that have happened across our area. Look at all those dots, y'all. It is crazy how much pollution is ongoing across the state. You can see basically all the little dots coincide with pollution or population areas. You can see obviously the most densely populated area, Pinellas County, Tampa, you've got a lot of pollution going on. And a lot of these are sewage spills, and you could really spend a lot of time on this map drilling down. So we're just going to drop the link in the chat for you guys, and you guys can inspect that all you want later on after the show. But definitely pretty interesting. Again, how you get there is just simply going to tampabaywaterkeeper.org, hitting latest news and resources, hit resources, then go down to water monitoring, hit pollution notices, and then once you're at the pollution notices, on the quick links, you hit pollution view submitted notices. Then once you're there, you hit the GIS map, and then it brings you to this page. That's how you get there. Pretty crazy. So like I said, it's more like 8.5 million gallons in Sarasota alone, probably close to 10 million gallons of sewage that was leaked behind Debbie in our region, in our Tampa Bay region, which is crazy. How has it affected fishing? Offshore, it doesn't affect fishing, right? What it can do is if it affects the inshore fishing heavily, which it hasn't right now, but if it causes that scary term, red tide, that's what can affect our offshore fishing, because what will happen is red tide happens in the bay, along the beaches. We can still fish. All our fishing happens offshore, so we can still do 5 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 39 hours. We can still catch plenty of fish. It makes it a little difficult to bring live bait offshore because our pinfish dies, but we can still get out there. We can still catch plenty of fish and have a good time doing it. So red tide does not affect our ability to catch fish offshore, but what red tide does is it kills our inshore estuaries. It kills our inshore fish. And where do mangrove snapper grow up? Where do red grouper grow up? Where do gag grouper grow up? Inshore, in Tampa Bay. Why do we have a problem with gag grouper right now? Red tide events. 2006 and 7, 2010, 2014, 2016, 17, 2018, 19, 20, 2021. All big bad red tides that happened along the coast. Didn't stop us from fishing offshore. We still caught plenty of fish, but it killed all those little baby gag grouper, all those little baby red grouper, and all those estuaries where those little fish grow up. So it will destroy our ability to catch future fish. That's what red tide does. So does it affect our fishing now? No. Has it caused red tide? No. Can it cause red tide? Most likely, yes, because in order to have a red tide event, all you need is the presence of the algae, which is naturally occurring in the offshore waters. And then you need to have food, which 10 million gallons of sewage is great food, and you need to have the right salinity levels. The salinity levels are perfect because we just had a big rain event. Big rain event makes big pockets of different mixed up salinity levels. So you have the right mixture. You have the algae, you have the food, you have the salinity. The algae is naturally occurring offshore, and what's been happening the last week, and it's going to continue to happen the next 3 or 4 days, is a west wind. That means all the Gulf offshore waters are getting blown on the coast, which means all that algae that is out there in the Gulf naturally occurring gets blown along the coast. So the algae is here, the food is here, the right salinity levels are here. If we have a red tide outbreak, you can blame your local municipality's sewage dumping, and it will cripple our future fisheries. The ability for gag grouper to rebound will be severely affected, and that's purely 110% connected to our municipalities' lack of accountability, lack of foresight, lack of leadership, and just overall negligence. So it's really upsetting, as you can tell. I'm pretty upset about the whole thing, but there are good people out there, good politicians, and I've had a few conversations. Linda Cheney locally has reached out to me, and there's some things in the works that I think are positive, but again, unfortunately, nothing happens fast, and it's going to take time, but I think there's change on the horizon that we can work towards for sure. All right, Josh is signaling it's time for another giveaway. Let's do our Hubbard's Marina swag pack giveaway. Then we're going to do a few more questions before we wrap it up and give away our last 39-hour giveaway. So, Hubbard's Marina swag pack winner is Terry Eakins. Congratulations, St. Lucie in the house. You won the Hubbard's Marina swag pack. You got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address and your t-shirt size so we can get you out that swag pack. Is it true, time to fish when a storm is coming? I heard big grouper in Tampa Bay. There are some nice grouper in Tampa Bay, which is a good sign. It means the population's healthy. Normally they're not here in Tampa Bay super heavily until the water gets cold. But they are already pretty heavy in Tampa Bay, which means we have a local population, which means the population is expanding, which means things are going well for the grouper population. But we won't be able to keep them because grouper season isn't open. Gag grouper isn't open. It's open the first 15 days of September. Red grouper are going to be open the first 6 months of the year this year. They might reopen for a short period of time. We'll find out when we go up to Biloxi at the end of this month. And of course, you'll be one of the first to know if you're paying attention to our Hubbard's Marina live shows and updates. But definitely some chances for grouper in the bay when September comes around. But the best time to fish is definitely right ahead of a low pressure or behind a low pressure once things kind of calm down, wind calms down, seas calm down, and that water clears up. Let's see. Regarding active live weather, is there an app or website you know of that shows velocity, Doppler, and not just reflectivity, like most weather apps? I like your style, Mark. You obviously know a lot about weather, and I would say the best app that I know that shows velocity on the Doppler is that one that like Mike's weather page, Mike Boylan, the one he uses and the one he showed me is called Radar Scope. Ironically, I was in the boat with Dave Osterberg, another actual meteorologist. He uses Radar Scope. Any really big weather nerd like myself, we use Radar Scope. It is the best radar app you can get, and it is also, you can get it on your computer, you can put it on your MacBook, put it on your Windows computer. Radar Scope is the best one by far, but it is pricey. I believe it's $99 for the year. $10 gets you the intro pack, but to go pro, I think it's $99, and I think you have to go pro to get velocity. But yeah, I have a very high level of Radar Scope, and I love it. Use it all the time, for sure. All right. Next questions. Do you offer spearfishing trips? No, we do not. Our friends Touche Dive Charters, also Hook and Spear, Frank Celebi does it as well. So hook and spear, touche, two options for spear fishing locally. We do not have anything to do with spear fishing. It is a nightmare to get charter insurance, let alone insurance to take people spear fishing. Let's see, what other questions do we have here before we wrap things up? Let's see, info about tattoos. We talked about the tattoos. You get 2 free 39-hour trips if it's a dominant size, lower arm, lower leg. That's a good one. The Captain Thorn shirt had to do with you being a thorn in the side of Noah. I am a thorn in the side of many folks. I am a squeaky wheel, as they say. A very large squeaky wheel, I've been called by fisheries managers. Speaking of, I need to call them this week. Meant to ask about the 39-hour trip going Tuesday. We do have a 39-hour trip going Tuesday. It does have 16 people on it. We are going, and it's going to be awesome. Someone said we need to do what was that? Update about the weight loss journey. Yeah, very cool. Should do another update on that. I am dragging my feet, so I'll add that to my to-do list. Do you guys do a Pulley Ridge trip? No, we don't. Pulley Ridge is just south of the Keys, basically west of Marco Island. We used to do a Pulley Ridge trip when I was a kid. It was a 73-hour trip, 72-hour trip. We used to fish the Tortugas. We'd go down as far as the Tortugas as well. But there's boats down there doing it, so there's no reason for us to run all the way down there to do it. Plus, Pulley Ridge, there's been a lot of changes over the time. So if you want to go to Pulley Ridge, Yankee Caps, the Patriot, American Patriot, they both do it well. Yankee Caps has been doing it the longest. Really, really good guy. I like Captain Greg a lot. But Captain Jerry on the American Patriot's a good guy as well. Different operations. There's something for everybody. I think you could go fishing with a lot of different party boats up and down the coast of Florida. There's party boats in Tarpon Springs. There's party boats in Clearwater. But I think what sets Hubbard's Marina apart is our people, right? A lot of people you could fish with, but we guarantee an excellent client experience with superior guest service, and I'm going to stand behind that. My folks, my captain's crew, staff, co-workers, family are all going to back that up and support it and live up to it. So what I think we do differently is we take you fishing too, and fishing is sometimes fishing, sometimes it's catching, but I think what we do is we're passionate, right? We do things like the show, we do our radio show, we do a news show. We're very invested in our fishery by going to fisheries meetings, and we care about our guests, and we try to build that relationship and provide excellent client experience with superior guest service. So I think we try to go above and beyond, and that's what sets us apart, in my opinion. Maybe you have a different opinion. If I get the tattoo, and we have 19 people who have gotten our logo tattooed on them, which is pretty legit. If I do the tattoo and I get 2 free trips, can I use one for me and one to bring my wife? Of course. Yeah, I'm going to give you $1,000 in trip fare if you get a tattoo. You could do with that what you want. You could do half-day trips. You could do dolphin trips. You could bring your friends. You could just use it all yourself. It's up to you. But you get 2 free 39-hour trips, which is equivalent to about $1,000 in trip fare. So it's up to you what you want to do with that. Let's see. I'm going on a 12-hour extreme trip. Can I bring my own live bait? You can bring your own live bait, but on the 12-hour extreme, it is a community live well. So you put your live bait in the community well. So if you want to try to bring specialty baits, it's a little bit tricky. Robert Miller brings up a great point. We are the #1 charter boat in the country 3 years in a row, but I really can't take credit for that. I like saying we're the #1 charter in the country 3 years in a row, which is awesome according to USA Today's top 10 or 10 best poll. But that's only because of you guys and our team, right? Our team provides excellent service, and you guys made that possible by voting for us. So I can't take credit for that one, and I can't use that one to say, oh, we're the best, because it's really you guys that made that possible. You guys voted for us, and our team worked really hard to provide that service. So That's a good one, though. I like it. Thank you. Let's see. Did we pretty much cover everything? Yeah, we're pretty well covered, and we're also out of time as well. We do have some news that I wanted to talk about. The Yes on 2 is super important, so I've actually spent some of our money to purchase Yes on 2 hats. I only have about 50 coming in. We're going to give some away on our supporters page. We're going to save some of them to give away to you guys as well. We're going to give them away to our guests. I have a ton of stickers, the Yes on 2 stickers as well. So if you stop by Hubbard's Marina, ask about a Yes on 2 sticker if you want a bumper sticker for your truck or car. And we're going to have some of the Yes on 2 hats to give away. And I'm going to see if I can get my hands on more. I'm going to try to get more Yes on 2 shirts as well. So stop by, ask about a shirt, hat, sticker, and we'll have some for giveaways. We'll have some to sell eventually for just covering the cost, essentially, is what we're going to try to do. So definitely excited. Make sure you vote yes on to the right to hunt and fish. It's super, super important. We want to try to get that word out to all Florida voters. Hopefully people will talk about it as much as Amendment 3. Did I miss something? We got it all?
They were just asking if we had red snapper catch numbers yet.
Yeah. No shot on that one. No shot. Red snapper catch numbers will be months and months down the road, because remember, MRIP works on 2-month waves. So January, February, March, April, June, July, March, April, May, June, July, August. So August will be the end of that wave 4, and wave 4 data won't be available until September, really like mid-October, end of October. So we won't have red snapper catch data finalized and publicly available until probably mid to late October. It kind of coincides with council meetings. They do that on purpose. So this council meeting in August, our wave 3 data from May, June should be available. And hopefully we're going to hear news about red grouper catch numbers at this August meeting in Biloxi. Then in the October meeting, we should hear news about our red snapper catch landings. That would be available there as well. So kind of how that works. So we won't know about red snapper for a very, very long time. With that, it is time to give away our last free trip of the night, our 39-hour trip for one guest, one lucky winner, 39-hour trip for one. But we also are going to be doing our supporters after show. So we hope you will join us for our supporters after show. Remember, that is right after our main show in our private supporters group. If you want to become a supporter, it's only $4.99 a month. They've gotten special deals this week. They're going to get special giveaways. They got a free fishing trip this year. Lots of cool stuff going on in the supporters group. It's a super low price. More one-on-one connectivity, more communications, and kind of a behind-the-scenes look. So we'll see you in the supporters after show. If you are a supporter, we're going to start that about $8.50. Also want to make sure we re-emphasize super light loads this week on our 10-hour trips, super light load on our 12-hour night snapper coming up, super light load on Thursday's 12-hour extreme trip, super light load on our 39-hour trips on Tuesday. So super opportunities to catch tons of fish this week. Light loads, stellar fishing, great weather, no tropical worries to worry about the next 2 weeks or so. So get out there and go fishing, and definitely make sure you vote yes on 2. With that, let's see who won our 39-hour fishing trip for one lucky winner. 39-hour trip for one lucky winner goes to, drum roll please, John Price from Port Richey. Local John Price. Congratulations, John. You've got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to the phone number on the screen. Also, we'll see you guys next week for another episode every Sunday night, 7:30 p.m., barring a hurricane. Sorry I missed you last week, but Hurricane Debbie was blowing 80 miles an hour. Josh's apartment complex was flooded. Our boats were high, and things had to be watched a little closer. So we missed you last week, but we do this every Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. We're live on multiple different pages, channels, platforms. Hopefully we'll see you again And don't forget to like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, check out our TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Trovo, Twitch, Twitter, all that good stuff. Don't forget to follow all our social medias. We'll see you guys soon. And don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Have a good night, y'all.